Hello everyone and welcome back. So this is going to be a very different video from what I usually post. I usually always try to be positive and uplifting and not to fall into the negativity and to things that bring us down. But at the same time, there is something to be said about what we're all going through right now. There is something very, very intense going on in modern day life. And this is happening for much of the what we call the Western world, where we have lost a lot of the things that used to bring us meaning and purpose in life. And because of that, now we're struggling with finding purpose and meaning. And it's not a surprise that if you go on YouTube and you type in something like the loneliness epidemic, how people are now forced between choosing between rent and food, and how many people now are becoming homeless. There's the team of tent cities around all across North America and the US and Canada, and also in Europe. So there's a lot of difficult times for many individuals, and this is, in my opinion, going to increase or get more intense even. And right now we're, in a sense, in a Great Depression 2.0. And I want to just put this idea that when we talk about the Great Depression, we often talk about it in the sense of how it was financially difficult. But yet we missed a key word, that the depression, that people were down, that people were sad, that people had little hope. And the mere fact that we are here shows us that that depression eventually ended. And then there were better days ahead. So I want you to keep that in mind as I go through this video and I talk about what I want to talk about, that everything has an end. So right now, when it comes to the US and Canada, there is between 55 to 60% who are under severe financial strain, which these people have said that basically they are living paycheck to paycheck, and one small thing breaking down will break them. And as the cost of living crisis keeps on increasing, these percentages are going to go up. And a lot of people are losing hope because of, well, right now it is very difficult to find a job that pays well enough to keep yourself afloat. As we've heard, many people are now choosing between paying rent or getting food. And the use of food banks are at an all-time high. And quite simply, from what I'm seeing, is that society is breaking. Society is collapsing. And when it comes to the US, Canada, Europe, we are very individualistic societies where we gained meaning and we gained purpose, or we had purpose and meaning, because of how we could basically improve our lives and get things such as like a nice house, nice car, and you could climb the social ladder, so to speak. And that gave us a sense of purpose, it gave us meaning, and also it played a pivotal role in our self-esteem. So with everything going on right now, all the financial strain, now people are losing that financial mobility, and because of that, they're losing purpose, meaning, and it is not surprising to hear that people are breaking. People are struggling because they have lost these things that used to give us meaning, and we're losing these things. Now, I'm going to say that these things, as far as like, getting a bigger house or getting a nicer car to feel good, we all know it doesn't take a very deep person to know that these things are quite shallow. They don't really add meaning and purpose to our life. So what we're losing right now is that belief, the illusion that these things can actually bring us true meaning and true purpose. So right now we're being forced to let go of these things that in a sense really didn't fuel our soul, or it wasn't really something that we were passionate about. It was just something, well, it went well with how society, Western society, is structured, where we compete, we are very selfish, we're very greedy. And now that we are losing that capacity to be selfish, greedy, and individualistic, now we're falling into a sort of dark night of the soul. So this has been going on for a long time, and it all started from that view that we can be an individual who, in a sense, does not, need society, doesn't need friends, doesn't need family, doesn't need neighbors, doesn't need community. And right now, with the families being split, with us having very few friends, with us not being close with our communities, us not knowing our neighbors, and going through what we're going through, we've lost a support. We've lost the family support. We've lost a community support, and now we're facing this on the. And now we're facing this, and we have nobody to turn to, because society will tell you, oh well, yeah, I'll help you if you can pay me, right? Or if you can give me something in return, because this is what Western society is built upon. And if you are providing a service, then you need to be paid. And if we're not being paid, then we don't want to do it, because, well, why should we, right? So there's a stat here that I'm going to share with you that's quite concerning, in my opinion, is that we have very, very few friends now. And me included. I have very, very few friends. Probably because of what I just talked about. And now, when it comes to Gen Z, 15% of men under 30 say that they have no close friends. That's zero close friends. So what happens if that person has a breakdown? Who are they going to turn to? And if we think about how the families have split, the communities are no longer close, and we don't even talk to our neighbors, well, what are we left with? Something like ChatGPT, perhaps. And ChatGPT will not be a support It might seem like it's supporting you by just typing what it is replying to you, but as far as as far as being there for you, I'm not sure if it's really there for us. It's just a thing on the internet. So this individualistic, greedy, selfish, it is very much related to the problems that we're facing right now. Because I am still keeping tabs, in a sense, with a lot of countries in South America. And the people in South America, they're still, most countries are very close with their families. There are still some countries like Costa Rica that have a very strong community. Basically everywhere that they go in Costa Rica, from what I know, might be an exception to the case, such as San Jose, but many places in Costa Rica still have a strong bond with their neighbors in the communities. So they're supporting each other. And when you have people around you that are supporting each other, things are much more easy. Think about how the Amish and the Mennonites, how they're able to keep their mental state in a good standing just because of how they are working together and supporting each other. So these things are all interconnected, obviously, right? And with everything that's going on in Western society, it's not a surprise to hear that more and more people are becoming depressed, as I talked about. And right now there's around 15% of Americans are on antidepressants. And 25% of Americans received a sort of mental health intervention or care within the last year. And these numbers are probably going to increase depending on how much more intense it gets. If the tide starts turning now, well, this might be the pinnacle of this depression that I talked about. But I'm not sure if it's over, because there's still a lot to be done before the tide turns. So all this is indicating that we don't have the support that we used to have. So before, we had families, we had communities, we had neighbors, right? And then we had relationships. And this is another case where we need to talk about it a little bit, is that most people now, they don't want a relationship. You can look on YouTube again, and people now, they don't want a relationship, right? They don't want a family. And this is another part of the support structure that is no longer there. So we're really left to ourselves now. Many people are really in this alone. So before, like I said, let's say all these things were not there, so you didn't have close bond with your family, you weren't really tied to your community, you didn't know your neighbors, you did not have close friends, you did not have a relationship. But before, society, Western society, gave you an out. It gave you a way to deal with this, and the way that we dealt with this was to try to climb the social ladder. But with the cost of living crisis that we're going through right now, this is another thing that you can look at in YouTube, and how people are really struggling right now. So the cost of living crisis is preventing us from being able to climb that social ladder. And before that possibility of being able to climb the social ladder, with either getting a better job, working more, working harder, and it's becoming more and more difficult to do so because of inflation and just how the economy is currently. Now, there's still some people that are able to climb that social ladder and to, kind of like be able to um, not fall into the same situation as we all are, but these people are becoming more and more rare because of the cost of living is chipping away at our finances. So these cost of living problems are leading to many, many issues. As I said, people are choosing between rent and food. Some people are choosing between rent, food, and heating. And many people are reaching a breaking point. And this reminds me when I was in Halifax, where I remember I was listening to the news and I heard that this war veteran had died in his apartment, and he had died in the middle of winter, and they found him with like 4 or 5 coats on and 4 or 5 blankets on top of the coats. He froze to death. Well, this is what society is that if we are not able to contribute, or if there's not enough money for these people, well then we don't take care of them, right? And it's the same thing when somebody falls ill, especially in the US, and if there's not enough money to cover the health requirements or what they need in order to get better, well then they say, well, we don't have enough money to give out the treatment, so that person is put aside. And these things have led to all of these things, all the financial problems and all these things have led to now tent cities, which is another thing you can look on YouTube for, where most big cities, or I should say all big cities in the US, Canada, and Europe, pretty much all of them have tent cities, and all these tent cities are for the homeless, and these tent cities are all increasing in size almost every single place. So the financial strain is really, you're able to see it in so many different ways. And before, of course, we could kind of turn a blind eye because we would only see these homeless people begging for money, and then we could turn aside, But now, when we turn on the other side, we see somebody else that's going through the same thing, and we turn aside. Oh, and there's somebody else there experiencing the same thing. So we're, in a sense, being forced to face this. Now, I know that this video has been very heavy, and I'm just going to end by giving solutions. And for me, the biggest solution to this is to connect spiritually, to connect inside with what you have in your heart, what your soul desires, to find true meaning and purpose, not in how much money you have, how successful you are, how famous you are, but to find your value with who you are. So that's number 1. Number 2, do like one of my good friends, Nuala, does, is checking up on your friends. And of course, if you haven't checked up on some of your friends in a while, some of them might be skeptical. Oh, why are they reaching out to me now? What do they want? Kind of attitude, right? But, if you can just say it, oh, I'm just checking on you to see if you're okay. I know a lot of people are struggling. I just want to know if you're okay, right? Reach out to your family and maybe tell them that you miss them. Organize something at your place. Invite your neighbors for a small gathering, get together, have a little bit of food, music, talk amongst each other. We got into this problem by becoming too individualistic. And there are some benefits of being individualistic, right? It's not all bad. But when you go too far in one direction, we create a disbalance. Harmony is lost. And now, if we want to be able to get through this, as they did during the Great Depression, they relied on each other. They were doing like the Mennonites and the Amish, where they worked together. And like the people in Costa Rica, where they gather up almost every single day to play music, to sing, dance, let the children play. And I would like to invite you to let go of attachments such as what we believe that society should be like, what things are important, such as how much money you have, how pretty you are, what's your social status. These things are not important. We're finding out more and more now doctors that are struggling to make ends meet. Who would know that during these days that we would even see doctors struggling financially? Now, I'm not saying every single doctor is struggling financially. I'm not saying that. But I know that there are some doctors struggling. There are some university professors that are struggling. And these people hold high-end jobs. And even these people are struggling now. So if you're somebody that's making do with what you have, well done. You're doing much better than most people. And I would like to invite you to let go of anger, greed, competition, and to see how, if you're able to let go of these things, that you can start working together. And even though that society might be crumbling, that communities and families can start reuniting and working together without the need for government interference or government telling us how we need to do things. That is another thing we need to let go of. The social, the political stratification where they tell us how we need to do things, what we need to do. We've listened to these people and look at where it has led us. So I'm hoping that you can find the courage inside, you can find the peace inside, that you can connect with your families, with your neighbors, your community, your friends. And once that we do that, perhaps we can step it up one notch and be looking for relationships again. Because unless we are able to get back to these basic things that we all want to be with someone that we love. We all want to be there for each other. So think about how you can change somebody's day just by being there, or maybe just checking up on him and say, I was thinking about you and I'm hoping you're doing well. The world will be changed by your example, so lead the way, and let's get out of this Great Depression and start connecting inside and connecting with each other again. I love you all. I'm wishing you all the best. This too shall pass. We will rebuild. We will reconnect. we will rise from the ashes of the past. Just like the phoenix, it is reborn through the ashes. So once everything crumbles, then the new can start again.